Hi guys, I hope that everybody's doing well. Before we get into the reading, let's set the intention for this to be a space where everyone allows themselves to feel seen and validated, and ultimately for this to be a safe space and a healing space in alignment with everyone's highest good. It looks like there's a gaining of awareness of maybe something you hadn't been so aware of before. We're starting off with the Seven of Pentacles. Right now, what is going to help you most is to be patient. It seems like this is a go-ahead to keep doing what you've been doing and not to lose faith in whatever this is that you're doing, because you are in the midst of process. In the midst of process. I don't know what this is that's processing, but it's something that the wheels are rolling on this thing. So now's the time where it's like even pivotal to keep the faith with what this is that you're doing, or what this is that you have done, like trusting the process, trusting that it is happening. And to keep carrying on, to keep continuing. It's like this, the seeds have been planted in the garden, so now it's just about maintaining them, watering them, making sure that they're getting sunlight, those things. So what is it that you've been trying to do? There's something here about the coming together of a relationship, even things feeling more peaceful, like things are functioning together, like things are working together in a way that they may not have been before. It even seems like hoping to get something working again, or working in a way that is like much more functional than whatever it was that had been happening, if it even were, if it even was functional at a point. Something is being mended, even brought back together. Even in a divinely orchestrated way. This can be so many different interpersonal relationships for you. I'm seeing like a color of different sorts of relationships. It can be with like friends, family, lovers, children, parents, all of that stuff, siblings. Yeah, there's something very important going on here with the timing, and I'm seeing there be like a fuss or a concern over how long something is taking. It's like, if you are in a space where you are identifying so much with like your ego rather than trust in spirit and divine timing, this is going to be a very difficult process, because you're going to think that something is wrong because of the time that something is taking. When if you can settle into what it is that you're feeling, if you can find center and grounding within that, you're going to realize that this is not happening on your time frame, it's happening on the divine time frame, and something is indeed happening. And so there's like, I'm even seeing this notion be able to help whatever is going on, like mentally, emotionally, subside for you. I'm seeing characters, they're written in a different language. I don't know what language this is. You may get more insight into this. It looks kind of like a... I'm seeing a line. It looks like a T, but it has two lines instead of one. a capital T. With 2 diagonal. Yeah. Two vertical lines instead of one. Interesting. Yeah. Whatever this like preoccupation was with the timing specifically of how something was going, and like, is what I'm doing, is it effective, like, is this going to happen, all of that stuff, this worrying about, I don't even know, like this trickling of faith, it can even be like as something is in the midst of happening, but you like may not have necessarily seen the results yet, or it hasn't like fully come through. Whatever that was happening before, what it looks like is that there's more of a process. I will say this too. It's not just something that's happening outside of you. There's something very, very important that is happening internally within you when it comes to like your perspective, the vantage point that you're even seeing how things fold out within. And it looks even like there has been a change when it comes to certain expectations that you've been holding. Even the way that you may have felt like things would happen within right order, there's a lot that's changing, there's a lot that's shifting. I'm seeing somebody with a very like puffy looking jacket on. You're easing into the process of letting go of what's unnecessary for you to be holding on to, of letting go of what makes it more difficult for you. This reminds me too of the notion of having expectations that are outside of reality and holding on to them. And because when we cling to those expectations, when we cling to those like models, it leaves us constantly feeling disappointed and distraught when they don't materialize. And they don't materialize because they are not in reality, they're outside of it. And so this looks like something important too that's been going on when it comes to the people that you have relationships with. So it's like when you don't set yourself up with unrealistic expectations, it saves you from experiencing like pain within your relationship, or being like, this person did that on purpose or whatever, or even like not just accepting someone for who they are, you know? It's settling into this idea of being okay with people, accepting of people, loving of people, without conditions of them being any differently than they actually are. Seeing how that changes the dynamics of what's going on within these relationships. I'm seeing like somebody smiling so hard. Like it looks even like, I don't know, there's like so much tension in their cheeks because of how hard they're smiling. And it seems very much like this beautiful thing that happens when we can bring like less judgment into our situations, less judgment into our relationships, recognizing too where that comes from. We judge when we don't feel safe. We judge when we feel we need control. It comes from a space of fear. And so there's something that, as you are moving through the process of this, and I'm seeing it be something that feels difficult just because of like how how strongly one had been holding on to like what reciprocity looks like to them, and tying that in with expectations. It's like this: if you are a particular character, you are like identified with your personality the way that you do particular things. We can fall into a pattern of projecting onto other people, like, hey, I see myself as being a reliable person. I pick up the phone every time somebody calls me, and so I expect that everybody else does that. And then constantly feeling let down because that's not how everybody else lives. So this is about adjusting our expectations in a space where we can just be okay with what it is that people give us. It's like the less that we want from other people, the more room, the more space we create for them to be who they are and for us to love them from that place. And to really see them rather than seeing them how you want to see them for who they actually are. To see them as they are. I will say this too. It is usually the people that we've known for the longest that this is most difficult because of how much history we have with them and how much we compare like back then to how they are now. The more time we have with someone, the more potentially we may be putting expectations on them to be consistent to what it is that we want them to be. And sometimes we hold on to the consistency, we cling to that consistency of familiarity so much that we stop being able to see somebody for how they're changing and how they're evolving and developing. And we can be, like, at times holding them back. We do this with ourselves as well, we may. So that's also something to keep in mind too. Because it seems like this is a lot that's happening, and not just with your short-term relationships. I'm seeing something that's going like back deep into your like historical relationships that is being worked through right now. Major clearing of the heart chakra. It seems like an awareness too. Because here's the thing. When we put expectations on people that are like outside of the reality of who they are, outside of just reality in general, we are actively choosing, because naturally we are perceptive, we are intuitive. There are like two choices within a scenario. We can either like cling to how we want somebody to be, or we can cling to a space that does not have preferences other than just seeing how it really is. And so like those are the two sides. And it's like when we cling to what we want somebody to be, we are constantly projecting onto it and not able to like see behind it to see what it really is. We're just looking at a mirror, essentially. We're projecting. And so like what we see is a mirror, a failure to live up to those mirrored expectations. When we can get into a space where we are dropping our preferences and want only to seek like what is the truth, it allows us to be in a space where we are no longer setting ourselves up to be hurt. Because it's always a choice, because I do believe that at the end of the day, behind it all, we do know the truth. However, sometimes when we are so resistant to that because we want something else so badly, we set ourselves up to experience something that's not going to materialize, but we keep telling ourselves that it is because we want that more than we want to accept the truth. And that's what happens at the bottom of it, and why we set ourselves up to exploit our own feelings. So this is also about working through like the confusion and the mixed feelings, and just like even the rainbow of emotions that we experience when we're coming to a place of acceptance. Even like wrapping our heads and wrapping our acceptance around like maybe the most difficult things to accept about another person. Just allowing yourself to move through that process in its entirety and let it go. This means too that sometimes, like for the life of us, we feel we can't understand why somebody acts a particular way. And this is about getting rid of that too. You don't need to understand it to accept it, because consciously at least, because like deeper and deeper and deeper within you, there is an understanding of it. But sometimes our like human brains or human awareness or human consciousness isn't able to like understand particular things, to be able to identify it and get behind like why somebody would do certain things. Like we can't, we feel we are not able to justify it perceptively. And so sometimes it's about leaving that not that like lack of understanding or lack of being able to understand that yet, at least consciously, and just move through with it to accept it, even accept like a lack of understanding. Even in times that it feels quite difficult, because I'm seeing there be a lot of stress that's tied in with maybe not feeling completely solid on how it is that you're feeling, and also just digging up everything that you've experienced with the people that you have experienced things with. It's like getting to a place where we are accepting the times that like we felt hurt or we felt left down or this person didn't do that thing, and moving to a space where rather than holding on to all of this, we're just seeing it as stuff that's happening rather than feeling like we need to cling to it and identify it and label it and carry it with us. We move into the space of becoming the observer. I'm looking at Taurus and Cancer. So it seems like a big step to not be worrying about things needlessly, to not get so beside yourself, and rather to just trust the process and trust the ride and trust the path that you're on. Which, as we're moving through this sense of like patience and allowing things to develop as they are, it's also helping you when it comes to the expectations that you place on yourself, the expectations that you place on other people. Helping you with, it looks like, as I said before, like your historical, your long-term relationships. For some of you, this is connected with people that you've known from childhood onward. And allowing a release, allowing this surrender to come to fruition. So there's no more standing on unsolid ground when it comes to what's going on intuitively, emotionally for you. Even being confused about like what it is that you believe in and where it is that you stand, how it is that you feel you're meant to be living, as far as like even a code that you live by, what you subscribe to. I'm seeing this be not necessarily easy at all whatsoever. I'm seeing something that has been happening for quite some time, and I'm also seeing that you are moving closer and closer into a new chapter for yourself, and feeling like this is one that you've achieved, this is one that you've earned by the personal progress that you've made. So I'm seeing this be something that you feel good about, like even feel proud of yourself for. All right, my friends, we are going to leave the reading here. I would like to thank everybody for joining. Thank you for tuning in. I'm wishing everybody love and light and healing, and I hope to catch you guys next time.